Eris Valen wiped the dirt from her hands and stared at the flickering neon skyline of Nova Citadel. From her perch on the outer ring, the city looked like a river of light spilling into space, glittering with towers that reached farther than her eyes could follow. She had grown up scavenging the lower rings, threading through abandoned maintenance tunnels and forgotten factories, learning to survive in a world that often forgot her existence. Life had been harsh, lonely, and unforgiving, but at least it was hers. Until today. A loud chime echoed across the ring, followed by the booming voice of a hovercraft. Eris Valen. You are required to report immediately to Central Command. It wasn't a request. Eris's heart hammered. Central Command rarely called ordinary citizens. Her stomach twisted with a mixture of fear and curiosity. She followed the path to the landing bay, eyes scanning the crowd. Security drones hovered, their lenses glinting coldly, and officers in dark uniforms pushed back onlookers. At the center of the bay, a sleek hovercraft waited, its doors sliding open like jaws. A man stepped out, tall, broad-shouldered, with a sharp uniform and eyes that carried the weight of command. Commander Rael Valen. Eris froze. She hadn't seen him in years. He was her uncle, though they barely knew each other. His reputation preceded him, leader of one of the most elite units in Nova Citadel, a man who had faced off against rogue AIs, alien threats, and citywide crises without flinching. Yet now, standing before her, his eyes softened for a brief moment. You're coming with me, he said, his tone firm but not cruel. It's urgent. There's no time to explain. Eris hesitated. Her life had been simple in its danger. Now it threatened to spiral into something incomprehensible. Why me? She asked, voice trembling. Because of who you are, Rael said, glancing at a tablet that flickered with images she didn't understand. They found your DNA. It's different. Dangerous to them. Essential to us. Eris felt a cold shiver. Dangerous? Essential? I'm just me. Rael's jaw tightened. Not just you. What you carry inside you, the primordial line, is unlike anything in the galaxy. Even the quantum systems can't predict it. Even Aurora. It froze when it scanned you. He didn't need to explain further. Eris had heard of Aurora, the quantum AI that analyzed every strand of human and alien DNA, running simulations no human mind could match. If it was baffled by her, then her existence could change everything. The hovercraft lifted, engines humming like a giant heartbeat. Below, the lower rings of the city shrank, a patchwork of shadows and firelit streets. Eris gripped the seat, eyes wide. Fear and awe battled inside her. For the first time, she felt the weight of her bloodline, the invisible thread connecting her to a past no one had seen or understood. Do they want to use me? She asked, voice barely above a whisper. Rael didn't answer immediately. His eyes fixed on the horizon, on towers that stretched beyond the clouds. Some will. Others will try to kill you to keep it secret. You need to survive. You need to be smarter than them. Eris swallowed hard. She had faced thieves, gang leaders, and broken tech before, but the idea of enemies who wanted her erased because of her DNA was terrifying. Her fingers clenched the edge of her seat. Fear and determination blended into something unfamiliar, a raw, untested courage. The hovercraft descended onto the Citadel's upper platform, a place civilians rarely saw. The city's elite lived here. Scientists, commanders, and politicians whose decisions shaped the course of human history. Security bots scanned her as they entered. The halls glimmered with cold light, walls etched with holographic data streams that hummed softly. Here, human ingenuity and technology intertwined, a testament to what humanity had built, and what it could destroy. Aurora's chamber was vast, bathed in a bluish glow. Thousands of quantum cores floated suspended in a lattice, each pulsating as though alive. Scientists stood around, whispering anxiously, their faces pale beneath sterile masks. Eris stepped in and the air seemed to shift. The AI sensed her presence before she even reached the center of the room. Lights flickered. A hum escalated and then, silence. The screens froze. The cores dimmed. One scientist stepped forward, voice shaking. It won't process her. Every calculation stops. The quantum matrix locks up. Eris's breath caught. The fear in the room was palpable. Even the brilliant minds who controlled the AI looked helpless. She felt a strange, heavy responsibility pressing on her chest. She was just a girl from the lower rings, but somehow she had become the key to something much bigger, something no human or machine could predict. Commander Rael placed a hand on her shoulder. Eris, they might try to take you from here. You need to be ready. I need you to trust yourself because nobody else can. Eris's mind raced. What did she need to do? How could she survive when even machines could not comprehend her? A flicker of determination sparked inside her. She had survived the streets, the tunnels, the indifference of the world. She could survive this. She would survive this. But as she stepped closer to Aurora, the lights in the chamber dimmed again, and a cold pulse ran through the floor. A soft, almost mocking voice echoed from the core. Not words, but a rhythm, a vibration that seemed to resonate with her very heartbeat. The AI was aware, was watching, and it had no idea what she was capable of. Eris took a deep breath. Her life was about to change forever, and the first challenge was waiting. Eris stared at Aurora, the quantum AI, feeling its presence like a weight pressing against her mind. The room pulsed with energy, blue light reflecting off the walls in sharp, jagged lines. Scientists whispered nervously, and Commander Rail stood behind her, silent but watchful. The AI had frozen when it scanned her DNA, but now its systems hummed again as if curious, or perhaps wary. Aurora's floating cores shimmered, each one a small universe of logic and probability. None of the scientists dared touch the controls. "We've tried everything," one of them said. His voice shook, betraying fear beneath professionalism. "Sequencing, algorithmic models, even quantum prediction. She defies every parameter. Nothing works." Eris swallowed hard. Her pulse raced. She had expected attention before, but never like this. Never like the weight of a machine that could think faster than the human mind, yet hesitated before her existence. She could feel it studying her, probing every instinct, every pattern of thought, and coming up empty. "What if it's dangerous?" she asked softly. "What if it reacts?" Rail's eyes were hard. "Then we adapt. We survive. That's what humans do." Eris nodded, determination replacing fear. She had spent her life learning how to survive scraps of tech, scavenging circuits and broken machines in the lower rings. She knew intuition, creativity, and courage could sometimes achieve what pure strength could not. Now she realized that skill might be the only thing that could save her. The AI pulsed again and the lab lights flickered. Sparks danced across a console as Aurora's quantum cores rotated faster, like galaxies spinning on invisible axes. Suddenly the hum shifted, a frequency that almost felt like a heartbeat. Eris stepped closer, feeling a strange resonance in her chest. "Try connecting her neural interface," one scientist whispered to another. "Impossible," the other replied. "No human mind can handle that level of quantum feedback. It will fry her brain instantly." Eris heard that, and a flicker of defiance sparked inside her. Frying her brain was a risk, but standing still would mean nothing. If this AI could hold the secrets of the galaxy, then maybe she could reach it, not through brute force but through human creativity. Rail's hand touched her shoulder again. "Your choice," he said. "Do you trust yourself?" Eris took a deep breath and nodded. She did. She had survived worse than fear. She had survived hunger, cold, and isolation. She had survived humans who thought she was nothing. If any being, human or machine, could challenge her courage, she could rise to meet it. The scientists reluctantly connected a lightweight neural interface to her temple, its soft electrodes pulsing with a faint glow. Eris closed her eyes as the signal synced with her brain. At first nothing happened. Then a wave of patterns flooded her vision. Geometric grids, spiraling lights, shifting codes. She realized she could see the AI's calculations, but they weren't static. They moved unpredictably, a storm of logic no human mind had ever processed. Eris forced herself to focus, finding a rhythm, a thread in the chaos. She reached out with her thoughts, nudging at the patterns, testing the boundaries. Sparks lanced across the lab as the AI resisted, systems overloading for brief moments. The scientists shouted warnings, but Eris ignored them, her mind locked on the challenge. Minutes passed, or maybe hours. Time seemed meaningless inside the pulse of quantum thought. Then something extraordinary happened. The AI paused. The storm of calculations slowed, almost like it was watching her, learning from her. It pulsed again, more deliberately, as if inviting her to continue. Eris's heart pounded. She realized the AI was trapped by its own logic. It had never encountered a mind like hers, a mind that could adapt, improvise, and persist without pattern. She didn't just survive the challenge, she forced the AI to recognize human creativity as a variable it couldn't predict. A sudden alarm blared. Sparks leapt from the interface and a core began to overheat. The lab shook. "Pull her out," a scientist yelled. "It's too dangerous." Eris's fingers clenched the edge of the table. She could feel the AI reacting to fear. She panicked it might shut her down, or worse. She took a deep breath, centering herself, pushing calm and focus into the system. Slowly the overheating stopped. The hums softened, the lights steadied, and the cores pulsed in a steady rhythm again. The scientist stared, mouths open. Commander Rail stepped forward, pride in his eyes. "She did it," he said. "She survived it. She controlled it." Eris pulled off the interface, panting, sweat streaking her face. She looked at the AI, shimmering cores reflecting in her eyes. Somehow, she had proven that human courage and intelligence could challenge the greatest machine humanity had ever built. But even as relief washed over her, a new tension emerged. The AI had not just reacted, it had communicated subtly through its pulses. Something had awakened inside it, something beyond mere calculation. And if it could learn, it could adapt. Eris met Rail's gaze. "What does it want?" she whispered. Rail shook his head. "I don't know, but I think it just realized that humans are more than it can predict. That makes us dangerous and extraordinary." Outside the chamber, the hum of Nova Citadel felt different, heavier. Unknown eyes would be watching, people who would kill or steal to exploit her. The AI might have been tamed for now, but the galaxy had just noticed that humanity had a force no machine could measure. Unpredictable courage, raw determination, and the spark of life itself. Eris clenched her fists. She didn't know what came next, but she knew she had survived the impossible once. And she would do it again. Then the lights in the lab flickered, this time not from the AI but from something moving outside the reinforced walls. A shadowed figure stepped past the sensors, silent, deliberate, and watching. Eris's pulse quickened. The challenge had only just begun. Eris's eyes tracked the shadow at the edge of the lab, heart hammering. She didn't know who or what, it was only that it moved with purpose. Commander Rail's hand tightened on her shoulder, a silent warning. "Stay calm," he whispered. "Whatever it is, it's not here by accident." The figure stepped into the light. A man, tall and sharp-eyed, wearing the insignia of one of the Council's rival factions. His presence made the hairs on the back of Eris's neck rise. He didn't speak. He only stared, calculating as though weighing whether she was threat or tool. Eris stepped forward, courage threading through her fear. "Who are you? What do you want?" The man's lips curled into a thin smile. "You're more valuable than you realize, girl. The Council doesn't know it, but your DNA, your lineage, could change everything. And I intend to control that power." Rail's hand went to his sidearm, but he hesitated. Every second mattered. Eris could see the calculations running in the man's mind. He expected fear, weakness, hesitation. But she was none of those things. She had survived worse in the tunnels, worse in the shadows of the lower rings. "I won't let you," she said, her voice steady, louder than she expected. "Not for me. Not for anyone." The man's expression flickered. Surprise, maybe respect. Then he lunged. Eris didn't have time to scream. She ducked under his reach, rolled to the side and grabbed a nearby console. Sparks flew as she slammed the panel's controls. Alarms blared. The room flooded with red warning lights. Aurora's hum intensified, almost alive, reacting to every human move. The attacker froze for a moment, caught off guard by the AI's sudden shift. Eris seized it, using her knowledge of old tech to override the lab's defense systems. Doors slammed shut, locking the man inside a containment bay. She had no idea how long it would hold, but for now she had a moment to breathe. She turned back to Aurora, heart racing. The AI's cores pulsed faster than before, almost like it was anticipating her next move. And then she saw it. Deep inside the lattice of quantum patterns, a hidden sequence appeared. Something the scientist had never noticed. Something that wasn't supposed to exist. Her stomach clenched. That sequence, it was a blueprint. Not just of her DNA, but of an ancient human potential, a map for survival, adaptability, and intelligence beyond anything modern humans had achieved. The primordial line wasn't just rare, it was a key, a hidden instruction left by humanity itself, waiting for someone to unlock it. Eris's fingers trembled as she reached toward the interface, instinctively connecting her mind again. The patterns danced faster, a storm of numbers and geometry. Her pulse synced with the rhythm, each heartbeat a thread weaving through the chaotic lattice. She could feel the AI resisting at first, but then, it paused. Almost as if it recognized her, understood her intent. The sensation was overwhelming. Waves of knowledge pressed against her mind. Survival algorithms, instinctive strategies, even glimpses of human evolution that had been lost to time. She felt the weight of generations, the courage of countless ancestors who had fought impossible odds, survived plague, famine, war, and exile. All of it surged through her, a river of memory and potential. Eris gasped, breaking the connection for a moment. Her hands shook. She realized the scope. If she could unlock this blueprint, if she could harness the primordial line safely, humanity could adapt in ways that no AI, or enemy faction, could predict. They could survive catastrophes, alien encounters, even the very tests of evolution itself. Rael's eyes were wide with awe. "You see it?" he asked. "You understand what this means?" Eris nodded, her voice small but fierce. I think I can control it. But I have to be careful. If I make a mistake, someone could die. Or worse." The AI pulsed again, almost impatiently, guiding her toward a path in the code that no human had ever navigated. It was as though Aurora had become an ally, recognizing that human courage, her courage, was the only way forward. Suddenly the containment bay door banged. The attacker wasn't trapped for long. He had started to override the locks. Sparks flew again. Eris realized the threat was still present, closer than she had hoped. She clenched her jaw. Fear surged, but beneath it burned determination. Her ancestors had survived impossible odds. She had survived impossible odds. She would not fail now. Aurora pulsed one final time. A thread of light extended from the cores directly to Eris, a path in the quantum storm, showing her exactly how to access the blueprint safely. It was a test. If she failed, the system could fry her mind. But if she succeeded, she could unlock knowledge humanity hadn't seen in millennia. Eris took a deep breath. Her hands hovered over the neural interface. The shadow in the bay moved again. The attacker would break free soon. Every second counted. Her pulse steadied. She had survived worse. She had outsmarted predators, scavengers, and the unforgiving streets of the lower rings. Now her challenge was greater than anything she had faced, but for the first time she felt the spark of something bigger than survival. Destiny. And as she reached toward the thread of light, connecting her mind once more to Aurora's quantum cores, the room seemed to hold its breath. The blueprint of humanity's hidden potential was within her grasp. But unlocking it would not come without cost. Eris's hands hovered over the neural interface, heart hammering like a drum in her chest. Every pulse of Aurora's quantum cores felt like a test, a challenge thrown down by a being more powerful than anything she had ever faced. The attacker in the containment bay was still working at the locks, sparks flying as metal groaned under his efforts. Each second brought him closer to freedom, closer to ending what she had worked so hard to begin. She took a deep breath and focused. Fear was natural, but fear could be tamed. Courage wasn't the absence of fear, it was acting despite it. That had been her life in the lower rings, dodging collapsing tunnels, evading gangs, surviving hunger and cold. Now courage took a new form. It had to be sharper, faster, and smarter. She reached out mentally, following the thread of light Aurora had extended to her. It pulsed in sync with her heartbeat, guiding her through a labyrinth of quantum algorithms. The AI wasn't just resisting, it was teaching, forcing her to adapt, to think in ways humans had never had to think before. Eris's mind raced, juggling probabilities, patterns, and instincts all at once. Rael's voice broke through the hum of electricity. "Remember what I told you. You're smarter than it expects. Trust yourself." Eris nodded, eyes locked on the spiraling lights in her vision. She had to push beyond fear, beyond doubt. If she hesitated, the attacker would break through, and the blueprint of humanity's hidden potential would be lost. Or worse, exploited by someone who didn't understand it. Her fingers pressed the controls instinctively, following the pulse. Every action had consequences. Sparks flew across the lab as Aurora's cores flared, threatening to overload. The AI's resistance was strong, like a tide pushing back against her will. And yet Eris persisted. Every failure taught her something. Every misstep was corrected instantly by her instincts and intuition, honed through years of surviving impossible odds. Then it happened. The AI pulsed differently, almost as if acknowledging her determination. The storm of algorithms slowed, forming a path, a single sequence that led straight to the heart of the blueprint. It was a dangerous path. The wrong choice could fry her brain, but it was the only way forward. Eris's breath caught. She remembered her father's words long ago when she had been small and scared. Courage isn't the thing you feel. It's the thing you do when you're afraid. She pressed forward, her mind and the AI system merging in a delicate dance of calculation and intuition. Suddenly an alarm screamed. The containment bay door buckled, and the attacker burst free, charging toward her with lethal speed. Rael shouted, firing his sidearm, but the man dodged effortlessly. Sparks flew as he grabbed a console, trying to disrupt the interface. Eris's pulse raced, and panic threatened to break her focus, but she forced it down, She realized the AI wasn't just a machine, it was alive in a sense, aware of her courage. She could use that awareness. With a deep, steadying breath, she projected calm and clarity, letting the AI sense her determination rather than fear. Aurora pulsed violently, and the attacker was thrown back by a sudden force field. He tumbled across the lab, dazed, unable to comprehend the sudden resistance. Eris seized the moment. Following the thread of light, she guided her thoughts through the labyrinth of the quantum blueprint. The AI's cores flared, pulsing faster and faster, and then, just as she felt the first sparks of panic, everything aligned. The blueprint unfolded before her mind's eye. Patterns of DNA sequences, survival traits, mental acuity, and adaptability no human had seen for millennia. Her chest heaved with exhaustion, but exhilaration coursed through her veins. She had done it. She had unlocked the hidden potential of the primordial line safely, harnessing the AI's immense power without succumbing to it. For the first time, humans had achieved something no machine, no alien, no council could predict. Rael stepped forward, eyes wide with awe. Eris, you did it. You controlled it. You've done what no one else could. Eris stepped back, blinking. Her mind still reeled from the intensity, but she felt something stronger than fear, pride. Not just for herself, but for humanity. Humans had always survived, always adapted, always found a way when odds seemed impossible. And now, she had proven it again, against a being that could calculate infinity and still failed to anticipate human ingenuity. But the victory was fragile. Outside the chamber, security alarms blared. The attacker was moving again, and she knew this wasn't the only threat. Others would come, seeking to exploit the knowledge she had just unlocked. Every choice from now on mattered. One mistake could undo everything. She looked at Aurora's pulsing cores. The AI had changed. It no longer resisted. It had learned, recognized that human creativity and courage were forces beyond its cold logic. It was a silent ally, waiting to see what humanity would do next. Eris's jaw tightened. She had survived the impossible once. She could survive it again. The blueprint was only the beginning. There were greater challenges ahead, dangers that would test her courage, her intelligence, and her morality. The lower rings of the city, the scavenger tunnels, the forgotten corridors of Nova Citadel, every hardship had prepared her for this moment. She was ready. And somewhere deep within the AI, a subtle pulse began, as if Aurora itself anticipated what humans might do next. Eris inhaled, heart steady now, mind sharp. She would not only survive. She would show humanity's strength, its ingenuity, and its courage. The galaxy had underestimated humans. She would make sure it never did again. Then, without warning, a series of lights flashed across the observation screens, messages from beyond the Citadel, from distant sectors of the galaxy. Signals marked urgent, unknown, and hostile. Her eyes narrowed. The real test was just beginning. Eris stared at the flashing signals on the observation screens. They weren't just warnings, they were a message. Something in the outer sectors of the galaxy had noticed the pulse of Aurora, the sudden unlocking of the primordial line, and it wasn't friendly. Ships streaked across the holographic maps, alien in design, aggressive in trajectory. The galaxy had just learned that humanity carried a force beyond comprehension, and now they were coming to test it. Commander Rael placed a hand on her shoulder, steadying her. This is why we train. This is why we survive. Are you ready? Eris inhaled deeply, her mind sharp, her courage unshakable. The AI's pulsing cores filled the chamber with an almost living presence. She could sense Aurora's awareness, its recognition of her courage. The primordial line within her blood surged in sync with the quantum patterns, a connection that gave her clarity and strength. Humanity was not powerless, not anymore. She stepped forward. We fight. We show them what humans are capable of. Rael nodded. And we survive. That's our edge. Outside the Citadel, alarms blared as alien ships broke through the outer defenses. Nova Citadel's elite forces mobilized, but the odds were staggering. Hundreds of vessels versus a single city. Panic rippled through the population, but Eris refused to flinch. She focused on the thread of light Aurora had revealed, visualizing the hidden potential in humanity's DNA. She could feel it, instincts, strategies, mental acuity far beyond normal limits. The alien fleet advanced, weapons glowing like molten fire. The city's automated defense turrets opened fire, but many ships dodged effortlessly. Rael barked commands, coordinating human pilots, infantry, and drones, but even he knew conventional tactics would not be enough. This battle required something extraordinary. Eris closed her eyes, letting her instincts guide her. She tapped into the blueprint, letting her mind weave solutions in real time. Patterns emerged. Optimal attack vectors, weak points and alien formations, human maneuvers no AI had predicted. Her thoughts weren't calculations. They were intuition amplified, courage made tangible. She opened her eyes and with a sharp gesture interfaced directly with Aurora. Together, they synchronized the city's defenses with human ingenuity. Turrets fired with precision beyond programming, drones executed maneuvers that mirrored battlefield instincts rather than pre-written protocols, and ships responded like extensions of her mind. Every move was daring, bold, and unexpected. The aliens faltered. Their formation broke. One vessel veered too close to another, colliding with a blinding explosion. Others misjudged the human counterattacks, giving the defenders critical openings. The city pulsed with energy, a testament to the combination of human courage and intelligence. Eris's pulse raced, but her mind remained clear. She directed a final maneuver, sending a fleet of drones to flank the alien ships while the city's main turrets focused on their core engines. The aliens, unable to adapt to unpredictability that wasn't based on logic, were forced to retreat. Sparks lit the skies as their vessels disengaged, leaving the city battered but victorious. Rail stepped beside her, awe etched into his features. "I've fought in countless wars," he said, voice low, "but I've never seen humans fight like this. You didn't just survive, Eris, you changed the rules." Eris's knees threatened to buckle under exhaustion, but she steadied herself. She had felt the blueprint within her blood, seen the potential of humanity's hidden strength, and now she had proven it. The galaxy had underestimated humans, and they had paid the price. But it wasn't just about victory in battle. It was about hope. Every human watching from Nova Citadel's towers, every survivor in the lower rings, every child born into a galaxy that thought humanity was weak, they now had proof. Humans could face the impossible, adapt, endure, and triumph. They were unpredictable, ingenious, and courageous. Eris looked at Aurora, its cores pulsing in gentle recognition. The AI had learned something no algorithm could compute. Courage, ingenuity, and moral determination were forces that even the most advanced machine could not predict. Humans were not data points, they were a force of nature. The city cheered, the sound rolling like thunder across the rings. Citizens ran to each other, hugging, laughing, crying. Rail watched, pride shining in his eyes. "You've done more than survive, Eris. You've inspired humanity. They will never forget this day." Eris felt a warmth in her chest, a quiet satisfaction. She hadn't just unlocked the primordial line for herself. She had given humans a future, a spark that could ignite generations of courage, survival, and greatness. Her bloodline was alive, but so was the potential of every human. The outer gates of the citadel shimmered in the fading light of retreating alien ships. The threat wasn't gone, there would be more. But humanity had been reminded of its strength, and now no force in the galaxy could assume humans were powerless. Eris turned to Rail. "We'll have to prepare. Others will come. And we'll be ready." He smiled, placing a hand on her shoulder. "With you leading the way, we always will." For the first time, Eris felt the weight of her lineage not as a burden, but as a promise. A promise that humans, no matter the odds, could rise above fear, above logic, above machines and alien empires. That one courageous human could change the future of an entire species. And somewhere deep within the lattice of Aurora, a gentle pulse echoed, a silent acknowledgement. Humans had survived the impossible once more. The galaxy had noticed. And humanity would never be the same again.